how to master business growth. That's what we're talking about in this training. This week is Masters Week. Whether you like golf, whether you love golf, whether you play golf, you probably know somebody who's watching the Masters. Maybe they're at the Masters, maybe you're at the Masters, or you've been to the Masters. But what can we learn from the Masters related to business growth? Now, there are 12 areas, believe it or not, there are foundational principles to focus on regarding growing profitability for your business. So the question for you is, and the challenge and the encouragement for you is, one, are you focused on mastering growing profitability? It's not enough to just focus on the principles of operations. Gotta have operations. We gotta be mindful of operations. We have to have a strong presence of operations. But here's the thing. There is no business to operate if you aren't growing. Stagnation is a bedrock of absolute failure at one point or another. You probably have heard the statistic. 90% plus businesses fail within 5 years or so. Why? Typically, they're not focused on business growth strategies related to profitability. So here's some strategies to think about. And as I say them, I want you to think about your own business. Are you focused on growing these areas? And these strategies came from a study that was done years ago on the question. So if 90% of businesses don't make it past 5 years, what are the 10% doing that do make it past 5 years? And they studied everything from enterprise, the Apples of the world, Amazons, Coca-Cola, those types of businesses, all the way down to businesses that have 100 employees, all the way down to local businesses, the HVAC the company, the roofing company, the dry cleaners, you name it. People have only 2, 3, or 4 employees as well. And what we found, and what they found in the study is, rather, that there are 12 areas that are foundational principles that you need to focus on. And when you do, and when you can get small incremental percentage growths in each of these areas, you can double and triple the profits of your business. Things like this. I want you to think about your business. Are you doing some of these things? Communication. Having a solid, what we call a drip campaign. In other words, those people who have interacted with you, how are you communicating? Are you communicating with them on a consistent basis to keep them engaged? To remind them of what you're doing? Introduce new products or services that you're doing. What are you doing to consistently, not inconsistently, but to consistently communicate with those businesses? How about uniqueness? There's probably a lot of options of what you offer in your market, right? So whether you're a service-based business, or you're a retail business, or you're a food and beverage restaurant style business, there's a lot of options. How are you unique? What are you doing that's so incredibly compelling that it makes it crazy for businesses, or rather customers rather, to not do business with you? I want you to think about that. How about your expenses? I know everybody says, oh yeah, we're lean and mean, but when's the last time that you truly took a fine-tooth comb and you really just went through line by line of all of the areas that you can have what we call cost mitigation? Every time one of our coaches on our coaching team, we sit down and we go through this process, we find significant areas of opportunity. And in the world of subscription, it happens almost every time. Someone's continued to subscribe to software, to CRM, to services that they thought that they canceled, but they didn't. What about your pricing? Are you priced correctly? When's the last time that you've increased your prices, right? And I know that especially since COVID, a lot of business that they feel bad about increasing their prices to their customers, yet your cost of goods, your prices have gone up, so the margins are shrinking. That is not good for you in owning the business. There's a multitude of different strategies that you got to focus on. Now, there's a lot of advanced strategies too. And we see oftentimes that business owners will, out of an appetite in the world, the shiny object syndrome, the world's talking about the newest and greatest thing, they start to focus on advanced strategies, but they don't have foundational principles in the business. What about digital marketing? What are you doing regarding being found online? What are you doing regarding how you're communicating, how you're talking your brand through social media? Here's one for you, and a quick story to boot. When it comes to the products and services that you offer, how are you bundling them together in a way that makes it very advantageous for the consumer and makes it almost irresistible for them to go, you know what, I need to do that. So a couple of years ago, actually no, it's last year, here in my own home, I broke my garage door. You probably had it happen before with a coil, the spring around your garage door. We have 3 different bays, and one of them broke, and it never happened to me before. And I hit the release brake. And when I did, the door came down like a torpedo and just crumbled and crushed the last part of the door. So I called a reputable company, seen them in the area. A lot of our neighbors talk about this company. They've used them in my neighborhood, and we decided to have them come out. Super sharp company. The vehicle's wrapped all great. The guy comes out, the technician comes out of the vehicle, khaki pants, shirt's tucked in, looks like he just walked off the marketing postcard, And he says, yep, I see what's going on here. I can fix that with no problem. Here's what he didn't do regarding the bundling. When I say he didn't do, it means that he wasn't trained to do it, okay? And by the way, I asked the question out of curiosity, how many appointments do you go on a day, repair appointments do you go on a day? He goes, that's usually between 6 and 8 on a average day, 10 to 11 on a busier day. Okay, cool. So I had gone onto their website and noticed that they offered the service to be able to make your doors Wi-Fi enabled. We don't have that on our home. We talked about it all the time. It's just, life's busy. It's not a priority necessarily. My wife talks about it all the time. That would be really nice if we could have that done. Just have never kind of gone out and do it. Now, here's what he didn't do. Had he been trained correctly, he should have said, hey, Mr. O'Neill, I noticed that your garage doors are not Wi-Fi enabled. Have you ever thought about having your doors Wi-Fi enabled? Here's how it would solve some problems in your life. I want you to think about that. So here's the statistics. On just about every service offered, on average, 34% of the people that are asked, would you also like, will say yes. This is the McDonald's version of, back in the day, you might remember, would you like fries with that? Same thing. Well, here's a simple way that they could increase their profits and increase their revenues on the same customer of the same ticket on the same day. Now remember, he goes to 6 to 8 or so appointments a day, and there's 10 different service trucks with this company. Imagine how much more revenue and profit they could earn without spending an additional dime on any type of marketing or advertising. That's called bundling, all right? The services that you offer. What other services can you offer that's complementary to what you already do? These are the strategies, and there's more of them. But I want you to just think about and go back and watch this and really contemplate, are we focused on strategies to grow profitability? Or are we overly focused on operations, spinning the plates, unlocking the doors, sweeping the floors, making payroll? Obviously, we've got to do those things. But those things are not as important in most cases as focused on business growth principles that point you to profitability. When you have profitability, you can scale, you can grow, you can hire the right people, you can pay the right people even better, keep them longer. The list goes on and on and on. And the big one, you can get out of the weeds of running the business day to day and become an absentee owner. Think about that where you are today. Think about that process. That's what we do with our coaches and our business growth mastery team. We help businesses to grow profitability, oftentimes doubling their profits with simplicity, being able to focus on a strategy at a time. Let that sink in. Examine your business. Where do you need to find areas that you can circle and begin to focus on improving those areas or starting some that you've never thought before that could be instrumental in significant growth for your business. Until next time, take care.